Hello, and welcome to Convinced Catholicism, a place for all things Catholic. Today, I have a book that is almost identical in content to, say, Christian Prayer or Shorter Christian Prayer, the American edition of the Divine Office. But this is Morning and Evening Prayer by Collins Publishing. This is the United Kingdom, Ireland, the Commonwealth version of the abbreviated Liturgy of the Hours. And it is what it says it is on the title, Morning and Evening Prayer. So this is not a direct, I guess you could say, transfer or adaptation or whatever you want to call it from Christian prayer or even shorter Christian prayer. I'll tell you what's missing from Christian prayer, and I'll tell you what's in addition to shorter Christian prayer, right? So this book is 4 and a quarter ish. It's about 4.5 inches wide, and then 6 3/4 inches tall, and then I'm going to probably guess 1.5 inches or so. Yeah, about 1.5 inches, give or take. So this is rather portable. You could carry this in your hand. You can walk around with it. You could put it in your purse or backpack or briefcase or whatever. Not exactly pocket size, but for a breviary, this is a good size, especially the contents it has, right? So we can see here that it has inviatory psalms here with the alternatives, and then we open up to see it has morning and evening prayer with night prayer from the Divine Office, which is the name for the Liturgy of the Hours in Commonwealth English. And we can see here that it is a translation of Liturgia Orarum, approved by the Episcopal Conferences of Australia, England and Wales, Ireland, Scotland, and also approved for use in Gambia, Ghana, India, Kenya, Liberia, Malaysia, and Singapore, New Zealand, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Tanzania, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. So all the places, or many of the places, that have English as a first language, and that has to do, of course, with the British Empire. Notice that the kind of missing examples are Australia, the United States and Canada. Oh no, Australia, sorry, my mistake. Is United States and Canada. Okay, and that's because we are assigned, I guess you could say, to Christian prayer. But of course, this is approved by the bishops. So, and this is the Universal Church, the English-speaking church. And so you would have no issues using this as a Catholic in the United States or Canada, and like how we are here in Convinced Catholicism. So you can use it, just maybe some of the feast days may be slightly different. So we have here an introduction, table to liturgical days, table of movable liturgical days, general calendar, then the proper of seasons, which is more than what the shorter Christian prayer book has, and I'll show you there. It has the seasons there, and then the solemnities of our Lord, Most Holy Trinity, body and blood of Christ, so on and so forth. The Psalter, 4-week Psalter, again, same contents as the Christian prayer. Proper of saints, common offices, if you have a saint there that's not really provided per se. The office of the dead, intercession for use at evening as an alternative, hymns and religious poems. Some of this stuff is really, really good, different than Christian prayer. And then the suggested tunes and so on. And then the ICET text, saints of the national calendars of Australia, England and Wales, Ireland and Scotland. All right. So it explains who should use this book and so on. So it's primarily for lay people, for those who are preparing for the priesthood, and for those religious who are not bound by the rule of life to celebrate the Liturgy of the Hours in its entirety every day, and so on and so forth, right? So this is for lay people. And we can see the layout of morning and evening prayer here. And you'll notice, unlike, say, Catholic Book Publishing Company, that there's not really any interpretive art or anything like that. It's just the words on the page. And that might be a little bit problematic for some people, not the lack of art, but the design. So let's go to my first ribbon here. I'm filming this on the Monday, right, of the 19th Sunday of Ordinary Time. It would still be the case for the day of upload, which is the 22nd of August, 2023. And we can see here that it has the Benedictus antiphon, the collect, and the Magnificat, and then the concluding prayer or the collect is the same. And you can see here that it runs through quite simply, quite easily. Next ribbon, we are in week 3. It says so right there. Very convenient, very easy to see that the Psalter is in week 3 for the 19th Sunday of Ordinary Time. And evening prayer is right there, because I already did morning prayer. We can see the hymn, although you could choose another one, the psalmody with the antiphons. We have the saints, and we have the hymnody. And, this is actually the Common of Virgins, and the hymnody and the poetry is in the back here. All right, so you'll notice something here, that this seems that the print may be a facsimile, and maybe someone can confirm that for me. If you look carefully, you'll see that the text could be grainy and sometimes splotchy in some places. And there are accent marks on this, and that has to do with the singing of the hymns. I could probably fairly quickly find maybe one of the letters has a missing piece, right? I mean, I did not look for long at all, and we will see right there that God has its G missing just slightly. And so that is not uncommon. And you'll see that the print looks rather digitized. So that is not really an issue, but some people prefer the instruction in red and so on and so forth, which I personally would as well. This does not necessarily have an ordinary per se, not in the same way that the Christian Prayer edition has. But I would say that this is a great option. It's available, obviously, to people in the United States. I visited Ireland, and I stayed with friends, and I noticed that the layman's daily breviary, or the Christian prayer equivalent, and shorter Christian prayer equivalent, was much more professionally laid out. None of the also psalm prayers, those are missing, or not missing per se, but they're not included, which I find to be a benefit. I find that psalm prayers are somewhat innovative, and perhaps people might think that the psalm is incomplete or insufficient if those had to be included, which the Psalms, the Benedictus, and the Inviatory, and the hymns, and the collects are the office, and those are later additions, right? So, I personally, if you don't like the psalm prayers either, which I know some people just don't like them either, then this is a great book for you. So Christian prayer has pretty much like none of the saint days. They have very few. They have the chief and principal feasts. So St. Joseph, March 19th, the Marian feasts, August 15th, December 8th, September 8th, December 8th, Christmas, all the major and the major solemnities of the church. This has all the feasts of the church. It has the Roman calendar pretty much, right? With the collects. What this is missing that Christian prayer does have, however, is the a very abbreviated divine office of readings, which could be, if you really, really wanted to do that, you could do it on the internet. Although, so this is obviously not the same thing as Christian prayer. This is, I would say, an alternative. This also does not have like the notations for music, as Christian prayer does. But this is, I would say, a good alternative for someone who wants a little bit more of an elevated translation of the antiphons and the scripture, as well as the Magnificat and Benedictus, and the Lord, now you let your servant go, Nunc Dimittis. This book is for people, I would say, who want a bit more of a higher translation and a lot less of the art. There is no art in this book, right? So let me show you an example of how the translation is different. So we can go to night prayer. Go to night prayer here, and we see here that the protect us, Lord, as we stay awake, is save us, Lord, while we are awake. Protect us while we sleep, that we may keep watch with Christ and rest with him in peace. And the Nunc Dimittis, Lord, now you let your servant go in peace, is changed. At last, all powerful Master, you give leave to your servant to go in peace according to your promise. For my eyes have seen your salvation, which you have prepared for all nations, the light to enlighten the Gentiles, and give glory to Israel, your people. And if you prefer the different translation, you could theoretically write them for yourself or put an index card with the American translation / Canadian translation. But there are alternative translations in this book that if you are not satisfied with the ones that are in the office ready to pray, you could go to the back. We can go there now. So let's go to the table of contents and see what the alternatives are. So the ICET text 1178. So we see here that the translations are slightly different, and they're still not the same as the American or the Canadian, but they are alternatives. But I find that the book, the covers are actually very convenient. I don't find myself lost. I don't need another ribbon. They're here. Something I will say about the durability of this book is I got this March 8th, 2023, very shortly after I returned from Ireland for my vacation. And I was using this book daily for about a month or so. And now I still use this book with my wife to pray evening prayer. So it does get not necessarily daily use per se, but semi-regular use. And you can see that just from humidity / my hands that the pages have gotten slightly wrinkled. The binding is starting to crease and wrinkle here. I think that comes out pretty well on camera. And there's this crease in the spine. My wife's copy, she uses it less often than me, though still regularly. And she, I think, cares for books better than I do. It's a shame I don't. Her book is intact, and you can see that the Canterbury cross is kind of withering away. So this is obviously a run-of-the-mill Roman Catholic breviary. This is not Personal Ordinariate. This is not Eastern Catholic. This is not so Catholic it might as well be. This is Catholic, Western Rite, Latin Catholic, for English speakers in, I would say, the Queen's English. You will not really, if you're an American like I am, or Canadian, which Canadians sort of speak the Queen's English as well, you will not be perturbed by these translations per se. But if you wanted to do communal prayer, maybe you want to switch to one of the free apps like Divine Office or iBreviary if you're with people from your country. If you're doing it privately, this is perfectly sufficient. Thank you very much. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and God bless.